Wow, lots to get into today for the news, and of course, everyone is having very adult civil discussions right now on Twitter around the hashtag orangeface. Yes, this is the number one trend. This is the number one discussed thing, and that is Donald Trump having a bad photo of him taken. And of course, we all have bad photo days. But in this video, I will go into great detail personally describing the psychological characteristics of government and how absolutely incompetent it is to deal with any of the serious problems that humanity has facing. I mean, for frick's sakes, the government hires makeup artists like this. Don't they have like a blender? I mean, seriously, who hires makeup artists that do this to Donald Trump? Anyway, before we get into it, I particularly wanted to thank TestTube, an application that you could install for free on your browser that helps you significantly manage YouTube. We have a promo code under WRC. The link is in the description below. If you purchase some of their products, which we use, you also help this independent media organization survive and thrive. So if you're a YouTuber or interested into getting into YouTube, if you're looking for the best way to optimize your channel, your outreach, TestTube is definitely the way to go. It's personally something that I've been using that has been very helpful for me. Again, testtube.com/wearechange. The link will be in the description below. And at least check out the free product. It's pretty cool just by itself. Now, again, outside of the major distractions today, there is a lot of news coming in, specifically around the coronavirus, which we've been following very closely on this independent media organization. Very early on, talking about the possibility of this being a bioweapon that came out of one of the major facilities in Wuhan. And now the White House is asking the same thing. And again, from our research and understanding, especially with patient zero not having any connection to this wet market, not eating bat soup, and many scientists looking at the strain of this virus correlating with AIDS and HIV medicine, that some scientists point to this virus being engineered for humans. And now the White House Office of Science and Technology sent out a letter to the National Academics of Science, Engineering, and Medicine requesting an urgent, rapid look into where this virus actually came from, contesting, of course, the official story, which we have been challenging and questioned from the early onset of all of this news breaking. This, of course, as new cases are popping up all over the world, and some experts fearing that this virus is far worse than feared before, even potentially being 10 times as bad as reported. And that, of course, is significant because, again, as we've been highlighting here, the Chinese government has been absolutely atrocious in their records, and definitely hasn't been the most honest and transparent government out there. And the reason some experts are concerned is because scientists are saying that only 10% of cases are being identified by tests, as this viral spread could be far more significant than we know. It's very difficult to get any accurate, verified information from China, mainly because of all the censorship, mainly because of the Chinese government agents that keep arresting anyone that posts a photo or video of what is happening in China. But of course, there's been a lot of posts that haven't been verified that do go into the details of how far worse this is and how the Chinese government is lying. Some people online even theorizing that over 13,000 bodies have been burned after calculating SO2 emissions, satellite imagery, and other scientific data to come up with this conclusion. And yet again, the only thing we know for sure is that yes, this virus is spreading, as now the first American citizen has passed away in the epicenter of Wuhan. 5 more British people have been diagnosed in France, and more numbers keep coming in from all over the globe. While the U.S. State Department is working actively to try to evacuate as many American citizens as they can from the epicenter of Wuhan, with more stunning images of State Department personnel in hazmat suits, of course, coordinating a lot of these flights. Now, in really strange turn of events, which really put more questions into the origins of this virus, we are getting information right now that renowned scientist Frank Plummer, who has worked on AIDS, SARS, H1N1, the coronavirus, the man who helped develop a response to many of these viruses and was at the center of a Chinese biolab espionage probe has been found dead in Africa. Now, again, there is no direct correlation to, of course, the latest events that are happening here with this death, but it definitely is something that should be looked into and questioned, especially with some asking that this latest outbreak could be a result of Chinese biological espionage, since we know this happens and the Chinese government and their intelligence agents either pay off or directly steal bioweapons samples in order to be used, tested, and weaponized in their facilities. So a very strange story that definitely deserves far more research into it, that definitely deserves our attention, unlike other things. And in China, the government is literally telling everyone everything's okay, everything's under control, as we're getting insane videos like this of massive sterilization and government spraying of entire cities to try to combat this virus, as more wild videos are coming out showing people dragged away and arrested from their families, from their homes, showing, of course, disturbing videos of people forced by government agents to go to unknown location. All of this, of course, while citizen journalists, other reporters, and doctors are still being arrested, harassed, intimidated, and some even disappeared, like we've seen from this Chinese citizen journalist, Chen Kuixi, whose whereabouts are still unknown, after, of course, releasing videos from the city of Wuhan. And this response, with people putting their lives on the line to actually show us the truth, is something that's disgusting and deplorable, and shouldn't be celebrated and shouldn't be cheered on. But U.S. President Donald Trump is singing the praises of the Chinese government and the president in their entire handling of this. And I do believe there should be more scrutiny when it comes to, the government agents just putting people in boxes as they scream and disappearing doctors and journalists who are trying to warn us about the true severity of this new virus. And that's reason one out of a thousand, hundred, gajillion, billion why, you shouldn't always put your entire faith into government. I mean, seriously, there should be some condemnation of those actions, and there isn't at all, which is very disappointing. And how can we trust a government that can't even balance its own checkbooks, is in debt to $23 trillion, with even local governments being indebted, as we're getting these new numbers from the 2020 Financial State of Cities report showing how indebted people are in some of the top cities in the United States, topping, of course, New York City, the city that I'm in, with each taxpayer owing, not really owing, they don't owe anything, but each taxpayer having to pay $63,000 in order to help clear the debt that this city incurred with its reckless and idiotic spending. Governments can't only balance their checkbooks, but they're also extremely insecure, and will even go as far as to censor the movies that you could watch on Netflix, a company that just revealed it removed 9 films at the requests of governments that are easily bought and sold by billionaires for pennies on the dollar, that will do everything to give it the perception of reality, including paying micro-influencers $150, like Michael Bloomberg is right now, to give you the charade, to give you the belief, to give you this fictional version that somehow these billionaire crooks are somehow legitimate. And on top of all that, these are governments that have been caught aiding and abetting international child trafficking operations, as recently exposed by Jeffrey Epstein, who showed us that local police officers, doctors, lawyers, prosecutors, judges, federal agents, politicians, media moguls, celebrities, technocrats, I could keep going, are all corrupted and all in the game of abusing children in the most worst, sinister, horrible ways that you could even imagine. Again, this is a family-friendly show, and I won't be going into the details, but this man's strings attached everywhere to our society, highlighting how rotten and disgusting it really is, with, of course, thousands of children abused here. And as recently revealed, Jeffrey Epstein even having his tentacles all the way up to PR powerhouse Peggy Siegel, who was the head of many Hollywood studios and even managed people like Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio, George Clooney, and many other celebrities, with, of course, many people seeing her as one of the head honchos in Hollywood. And this is a person that Jeffrey Epstein was able to get his very young companion an internship with. I mean, this man was pulling strings left and right, and you can only imagine the dirt that this man had on so many of these individuals that are all interconnected to each other, including, of course, Harvey Weinstein himself, and that's a whole nother story that we won't be getting into. While, of course, the person that many people saw in charge of this operation, at the head of this operation, and even a bigger person than Jeffrey Epstein, well, they're still out there in the world running free, being able to do and abuse whoever they want, with all the government authorities and law enforcement officers just, not enforcing any of the frickin' laws. So yeah, when the government says, oh, we're here to help, everything's fine, everything's under control, just like the Chinese government is saying, yeah, I think it's best to be extremely critical of that. Now, again, not spreading panic, not spreading fear-mongering. It's important to understand this virus still predominantly affects, again, I have to go through all this again and remind people. Mainly, this virus affects older people or people who are immune compromised. So far, it is contained, and there is not a threat so far to the people in the United States. But again, that could change dramatically at any time, and we will be following the story very closely from here, trying to give you an accurate, honest point of view about actually what is happening. If you thought we did that, share this video with your friends and family members. If you thought we didn't do that, let me know why in the comment section below. You can be facetious. You can talk about anything and everything. We do not censor comments here on this independent media organization. It's all about having an honest and open form of dialogue, communication that could only help propel humanity further in our trajectory of elevating our existence and securing it. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for being here with me, because if it wasn't for you, and even especially you right there watching all of this all the way to the end, I wouldn't be here, and this is why. Love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on WeAreChange.org.